Hello fashion lovers, you're welcome to my channel. Trust you're all doing well. Today's tutorial is going to be a new way of making your bustier top without having to cut your pattern in different pieces. Trust me, this is a very easy way to make your bustier, and this method is going to give you a perfect fitting for your bustier, and it's very easy to achieve because you don't need to cut your pattern in different pieces. So if it is something you want to learn, you need to keep watching this video. Kindly give this video a like. Thank you all. Let's get started. So to get started, you will need your basic bodice block. So this is the back and the other side is the front part of this basic bodice block, and the width of this pattern is 1/4 of my upper hip circumference. So this top is going to stop on my upper hip circumference, which is 36. So 36 divided by 4 is going to give me 9. So one part of this of the back is 9 inches and the front is 9 inches. So the width is 1/4 of my upper hip circumference, which is the highest body circumference. So I have my shoulder slope already and my armhole. So you want to label, here is your shoulder line. So this is your shoulder line, so you don't get confused. So for the front now, we are going to mark from the shoulder to the bust point line. You're also going to mark from the shoulder to the under bust, because this is a bustier, so we need our under bust. So you're going to mark from the shoulder to the under bust, and shoulder to your front waistline, and shoulder to the length of your dress. So we have the front waistline and we have the back waistline. So there is always a difference between your front and back waistline. So I'll go ahead and mark out all this line and then roll the lines. So this is what I have: the bust point, the under bust, the waistline for the front, and the length of the top. So for the back now, because there is no bust point on the back, we're not going to be marking shoulder to the bust point for the back. So we're going to mark shoulder to the back waistline. So the back has a waistline different from the front waistline. Due to the bust at the front tend to add to the front waistline. So the front waistline is usually longer than the back waistline due to the bust at the front. So to get your front and back waistline, you want to just grab an elastic band or a piece of or a rope, tie it on the tiniest part of your waist, just like what you see me doing, and then go ahead and measure from the shoulder to the front waistline. Whatever thing you have, you mark, and also measure from the shoulder to the back waistline. So my front waistline is 16 inches while my back waistline is 14.5. So we're still going to align everything. So this is my chest line. I want to rule that line because that is where my dart is going to start from. So for the front part, you want to measure from your front waistline to the length of your top. I have mine as 6 inches. So from my back waistline, I'm going to mark 6 inches. And that is where my back length is going to stop. So my front length is going to be longer than my back length by 1.5 inches. And my front waistline is going to be longer than my back waistline by 1.5 inches. And that 1.5 inches, we are going to use it to take the bust dart to align the side seam of the front and the back together. So don't get confused. So on the under bust, on the front, you want to measure half of your bust palm measurement. That is your nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 7 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 3.5. You want to add half inch to it, making it 4 inches. So that is what I have on my bust point, under bust, waistline, and the length. So I have to go ahead and rule a line at that point. So we're going to go ahead and contour the under bust. To contour the under bust, you can use 1.5 inches, you can use 2 inches. For this pattern, I'm going to be using 1.5 inches. So I marked 0.75 inch on both sides of the under bust, making it 1.5 inches. So on the waistline, I'm still going to mark 0.75 inch, that is 3/4 of an inch on both sides, making it 1.5 inches on a, and at the length I also mark the same. So if you don't want your dart to get to the length, you can stop your dart 2 inches above the length of your top. So from the bust point line, you want to come down by 0.75 inch, 0.75 inch or 3/4 of an inch, because you don't want your dart to get to your bust point. Because if your dart gets to your bust point, it is not that okay. It always have that effect that you might not like. So that's why you need to get your dart 0.5 or half an inch below your bust point. So with your curve ruler, you are going to connect from that point to the under bust, just the way you see me do. And then you want to use your, you want to also try, you want to, kind of align everything together to avoid any sharp or pointy edge. So you can see we have contoured the under bust. So the next thing is to mark 1/4 of our under bust circumference. So from here to this bust point, this dart line, you want to start from the second dart line to measure 1/4 of your under bust circumference. So whatever your under bust is, you divide by 4 and you want to go ahead and mark. For the waistline, you also want to mark 1/4 of your waist circumference. You mark from this point to this point, then start from on the other side of the dart. So you're marking this measurement excluding your dart. So for the length, so I discovered that my upper hip line, which is 1/4 of it is 9 inches. So this pattern is having my upper hip line. So this 1.5 inches dart that I took, there is no place to add it back. There is no place to add it back. So I have to take this dart up so it doesn't shorten my upper hip circumference. So I have to go up from the length of this top by 2 inches to remark my dart leg. Sorry about that. So don't get confused. If you have enough pattern, you can go ahead and leave the dart like that. You just have to add it back to the side. So if I measure this, I have it as 9 inches, which is exact measurement of my upper hip circumference. That means I have to add the 1.5 inches dart intake, and it's going to affect the back part because there is no space. So that is why I have to reshaping the dart leg. So I have to go up from the length by 2 inches to remark my dart. Hope you got what I said. So if you have any question, you can drop it on the comment section. So you want to go ahead from the under bust, you mark to the waistline and to the length of your top. So for my bust line, so you want to add like 0.25 inch to my bust line for ease, and then from there I connect to the under bust. So we are almost through with the front part. So you want to go to the waistline now of the back. So the difference between the waistline of the back and the front is 1.5 for my own. So you have to check your own. So the difference between the back length and the front length is 1.5 inches. So it differs. So from the bust point line, you want to come down by that 1.5 inches and take it diagonally to the bust point. Did you see? So this will serve as your bust point or bust dart. This is going to serve as your bust dart. Is either you sew it or you cut it out, and then once you cut it out, it's going to align the side seam of the front and the side seam of the back. So you have to check the difference between your front waistline and the back waistline. It can be half inch, it can be 1.5 inches, it can be 2 inches. So I'm going to come to the waistline and take my dart. So I'm taking the dart of 1 inch for my back. So I'm having half inch on both sides of the dart, making it 1 inch. And from the chest line, you want to connect to the waistline. You want to connect your dart from the chest line to the waistline, and then from the waistline to like 2 inches above the length of your top. So you're going to measure 2 inches above the length of your top, and then you connect your dart. I hope I am cleared. So on the waistline, you are going to come inward by 0.75 of an inch to eliminate the zipper bulge, because from your neckline to your waist line is not straight. The way the human body structure is, it is not straight. So we need to eliminate that part to avoid zipper bulging. So you want to go ahead and mark. You want to stop like 2 inches or 3 inches before the neck line. Then you also go ahead and connect to the length like 1 or 2 inches above the length. So we have eliminated the zipper bulge. So you want to go ahead and mark your circumference, your waist circumference, 1/4 of your waist circumference, excluding the dart. Also bear in mind that this back part does not have zipper allowance. I have not attached my zipper allowance. I am going to do that while cutting on the fabric. So this is the back part, and I believe you got to this point. So this is what we have. We are going to go ahead and cut out this pattern. So the next thing you want to do is to mark your neckline. So the width of the neckline I want to use is 3.5, and the depth of neckline is 1.5 inches for my back neckline. So the width is 3.5 inches and the depth is 1.5 inches. Also bear in mind that the width of the neckline for the back must be the same width for the front. Though the depth can vary, but the width must be the same. So you want to go ahead and cut out the remaining parts. So this is what we have for the back. So you go ahead and cut the front. So you want to slit the dart open to the bust point. Then you go ahead and close up your bust dart. So this is how you close it up. So this line, you want to close it to touch the diagonal line that you made. So this line is going to touch the diagonal line that you made. Then you can use your masking tape or your pin to hold it down. So this is what we have. You want to use your ruler to like connect this point. Did you see? To remark this point. Then you continue with your cutting. So we want to take the neckline for the front. So the width is 3.5 and the depth is 3.5. So I decided to use the depth of 3.5 and the width of 3.5. So the width I used for my back is 3.5 and it must be the same for my front. But the depth of the neckline can vary. So you continue with your cutting. So after cutting, we want to test our pattern. As you can see, the side seam of the front and the back now aligns together. The waistline of the back and the front now aligns together. So this is how you cut your pattern. Very easy and very simple. Did you see that? So we have aligned everything together. So we'll go ahead and cut our pattern on the fabric. So this is what I have. You can see is on fold. My fabric is on fold. So the center front, which is this side, is going to be cut on fold. So you want to align your pattern to your fabric and use your pin and hold them down. So after doing that, I want to go ahead and add my sewing allowance. So from the under bust to the length, I am adding half an inch to it. But from the bust point to the under bust, I am adding 0.25 inch. Please don't get confused. Whatever seam allowance you added, is what you are going to use. You are going to use to sew it from the bust point to the under bust. Towards the under bust region, I added 0.25 inch, so I'll be able to sew it. But from the under bust to the length, I added half an inch. You can decide to add 0.25 inch to the end of your pattern. So for the side seam, I also add half inch for my side seam. So you can add any seam of your choice. You can add 1 inch, 1.5 or 2 inches for your side seam. So you want to go ahead and cut out your pattern. So this is very easy and simple. So for my armhole, shoulder and neckline, I added half an inch. So I slit that part open a bit. So for the back part, you want to add your zipper allowance. So I added zipper allowance of half an inch on the zipper side, and also add my necessary sewing allowance half inch all around, because that is the seam allowance I want to use. Did you see that? So you also want to go ahead and notch the under bust and the waistline to avoid being confused. So when you open it up, this is what you are going to have. So you are going to sew by the allowance you have added from the bust point 0.25, and as you are coming down, you sew with the 0.5 inch you added. To avoid being confused, you can just add 0.25 inch all around it. So you want to go ahead and cut the pad. So from the bust point line, I went up by 3 inches, and from the bust point, you want to go out by 3.5. Did you see? For you to get your pad, the pad. So this is how my pad is going to be. Did you see? So from here to this point is how my pad is going to be, and also to this point. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my wadding like that. So you can see I've already cut it out. So it's on fold. So this is how it is. So that center front is on fold. Did you see? So I've cut out my pad. Did you see? Is on fold. The center front is on fold. So you want to go ahead and place it on your fabric using the under bust line that you notched. You should make sure that your pad is on the under bust. But before that, we want to add an interfacing to the fabric before adding the wadding to it. So you can see I have actually done that. I added my interfacing, and I have also added my pad or my wadding to it. So I'll go ahead and sew by 0.25 inches sewing allowance I added from the bust point, and as I'm coming towards the under bust, I am sewing by the 0.5 inch that I added. For you not to be confused, I'll just ask you to add 0.25 inch to the sewing allowance. So this is what we have for the first part. You also want to go ahead and sew the second part. So you can see this is actually beautiful. You don't need to cut out your pattern in pieces before you can achieve a bustier. So you can achieve a bustier without having your pattern in pieces. So you can see I am done sewing. So for the back part, you want to go ahead and sew the darts, and also add your zipper to your zipper allowance area. So this is what I have. As you can see, this is how the curve came out. It came out so beautiful. Can't you see that? So it came out so beautiful, even without having to cut our pattern in pieces. And trust me, I love it. So you're going to go ahead and iron it out, iron your pad out. Then you want to iron your seams open just like this. So when you have done that, so this is what I have. This is the back part. I have added my zipper allowance, so I'll go ahead and close it up for you to see. So did you see I've added my zipper allowance to it? So for the back, you want to place the front side, the right side of the front facing the right side of the back, and you want to go ahead and sew by the seam allowance you have added on the side seam, and sew the two shoulder. Did you see that? So when you are done, this is what you are going to have. So you're also going to sew your lining the exact way you sewed your fabric. So you want to go ahead and mash up your lining on the neckline now. So the shoulder of the lining matching up with the shoulder of the fabric and the neckline matching each other. You also want to do that, and you want to match them up just like what you see me doing. And then you want to go ahead and sew by 1/2 inch sewing allowance that you added. And when you are done, you want to go ahead and top stitch. Just push your side seam to the lining part and then sew on it. That is what is called top stitch. So this is what I have after doing that. So you want to cut off your lining, like trim off 0.25 inch from the lining, from the down part of the lining. Did you see? And then you want to hold them down. You want to hold the lining and the fabric down on the down part, making sure that the seam line align with the lining and the fabric. Did you see? So that is what I'm trying to do. Use your pin and hold it, and then sew by 1/2 inch. So when you have done that, you also want to sew the seam, the zipper side with your lining. Don't sew close to the zipper teeth, just sew, but don't sew close to the zipper teeth. This is just for us to achieve a neat finishing. So when you are done sewing, this is what you are going to have. Did you see that? So you want to turn it to the right side to see the final result of this top. So this is the final result of what we have. Did you see? So when you close it up, this is what we have. So you want to go ahead and iron it. So I've gone ahead to iron it, and this is what I have. Isn't this beautiful? With a neat inseam finishing. So we finished it well. Did you see? It's finished well. So you can go ahead and attach any sleeve of your choice, and we are done. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.